Good day everyone. So welcome to example number 6 for week 5. So this is once again just a simple three-dimensional part that we're going to create. So this was the homework for last year, homework number 3. So it's quite easy. You can see it's symmetrical about the z-axis or the y-axis and the z-axis. So you can use the symmetrical feature, but for this example I'm just going to draw it and yeah, don't use the symmetrical feature because it's such a simple part to create. There's something important to note is the position of the datum coordinate system. So you need to ensure that that's at the correct position, because you'll need to enter the center of mass of this part, and that is dependent on this sketch origin. So I'm going to start with the front view. I'm going to draw that rectangle there, which is 30 millimeters high and then also 110 millimeters wide. So I've created my sketch inside NX, or my model inside NX. I'm enabling the sketching environment, and I'm going to start at the front, from the front view. So it's that plane there. Yeah, so now I'm going to create this rectangle, so we know it's 30 high and 110 wide. So let's just zoom in a bit. So the width is 110, the height is 30. Okay, and now to ensure that that coordinate system is on the right place, you can see it's in the middle, um, and then also from the right view you can see it's at the edge there. So I'm going to it's also in the middle vertically and horizontally in the middle of that rectangle. So I'm just going to use some geometric constraints. From that point to the sketch origin needs to be vertically aligned, and then that point and the sketch origin. So that point and the sketch origin needs to be horizontally aligned. So now my datum coordinate system is in the correct place. So now it's quite easy. First I'm going to extrude it, so you can see it's 70 millimeters going into the y-axis. So I'm going to finish this sketch and use my extrude tool, and then I'm just going to extrude that curve 70 millimeters. Yeah, 70 millimeters to the other side, because the datum coordinate system for my orientation needs to be on this side, so this extrude needs to go to the other side. Click OK. So we're done with that sketch. I can just hide it. Now you'll see that this datum coordinate system is at the right place. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And it's also important that the orientation is correct. So Z is going upwards from the front view, X going to the right, and then from the top view you have Y going up. So there you have it. So the next feature I'm going to add is that extrude in there. So the dimensions for that is 40 millimeters wide and 15 high. So I'm just going to start another sketch. Now I'm going to start a sketch on the edge of that extrude, or the face of that extrude. We have it as 40 by 15, so I'm just going to draw it roughly 40 by 15. So it's not constrained at the moment. You'll see it has two auto dimensions, so I know it's in the middle, so those 2 points needs to be vertically aligned, and then also that point and that point needs to be coincident. So then that rectangle is at the right place, sketch is fully constrained, so I can finish that, and then I'm going to extrude it. So this will be an subtract extrude, but I'm just going to use invert because it will detect that it needs to subtract. So it can go beyond that limit because there's nothing to extrude here anymore, and because it's a subtract, it doesn't create any features. So you don't have to type in the exact dimension there. You can if you want to, so that 110, and then the extrude is up until the end point, but you can also just drag it throughout the entire sketch or model. So that's quite easy, adding that feature. So using the subtract. Now that sketch, I'm not going to use that again, so just hide it. Okay, so now we have that base part. I think the next feature that we can add, which is quite easy, is that circle, and it has a diameter of 20. So once again, you can either use the whole feature, so there it is, so that whole feature, It's a simple hole. The hole diameter is 20, so you can just specify there. And then you need to specify a point. So it's going to be somewhere on that plane or face of the extrude. So it's going to be there somewhere. And then you can specify these dimensions. So the yeah, so you can, so it's 20 millimeters and somewhere there, and then you can specify these dimensions. So that needs to be 110 divided by 2, which is 55 millimeters to get it in the center, and then there's a dimension specified there which is 30 millimeters. So just change that and click OK. So that creates the hole there. I don't like the hole feature that much, for reasons of my own. So, but you can use the hole feature. But I'm just going to show the other method as well, which takes a bit more time. But yeah, if you're used to NX, not that much more time. So I'm just going to create my circle sketch. So that's 20 millimeters. You need to align it with that vertically, and then we also know that the dimension from that center to that point is 30 millimeters. Close that, finish my sketch, and then just use my extrude tool again to extrude a hole through and click OK. So that's the other way that you can do it. So you can decide if you want to use the hole or you want to sketch. Yeah, if you're comfortable with NX, it takes about the same amount of time. So the code word for today is pencil. Okay, so now we can add that feature on top. So I'm going to start by creating that part there. So that's a rectangular shape extruded along that way with a length of 90 millimeters, meaning that that distance there and there adds up to 20 to get to 110, meaning that should be 10 and that should be 10. So I'm going to sketch uh, on the top face of this model. I'm going to sketch a rectangle. You'll see that it's on that line there. So I'm going to start my sketch on that edge. The width is 20 millimeters, specify there, so it's 20. And sorry, the width is not 20, the width is 90. So my height is 20, my width is 90. And then I'm just going to specify there. So now I can either specify 10 millimeters there, and that will create a fully constrained sketch, or I can just say that point and the center of this point, which is there. So that's the other edge. They need to be coincident. And now the sketch is fully constrained, and you'll see if I create that dimension from there to there, it should be 10 millimeters. But now it gives an over constraint because I've specified it there, and now I've specified it here again, so that this dimension is not required. Okay, so that's my sketch for that rectangle. You can see, let's see how high is it. So it's 30 millimeters upwards. So I'm just going to extrude that curve 30 millimeters. I'm going to use my unite tool, which means that it unites this part, which I'm creating now, onto this body. So by uniting that, now this entire thing is united, so it's one object, and that's important when you enter the answers into Ifundi, because the mass, if it's not united and you say, okay, I want the mass of this part, and you just click on this one, it will only give you the mass of that part if it's not united to this part. So always at the end, make sure that everything is united. You'll see if you click unite and you drag it over this body and everything highlights and it says it's a single body, then you know that it's united to each other. So that's quite important. So I'm just going to hide that sketch. So now we have that feature there. It's 30 millimeters wide, and let's see if we can see a depth. So there's the depth, or yeah, the vertical dimension, which is 10 millimeters. So once again, creating a sketch on that face now. So this rectangle will be on that edge, 30 millimeters wide and 10 high. Once again, it's in the center, so those 2 points need to be coincident. And now my sketch is fully constrained, so I can finish. and I can just extrude it from that part. Not unite, you can use either subtract or invert. Okay, so now you'll see there's round edges there with a radius of 5. There's two of them, that side and this side. So now you can either go and create a sketch for that, but there's an easier tool to use, and that's just the edge blend tool. So with edge blend, you just click on the edge that you want to blend. So it's that one and that one. You specify the radius, which is 5 millimeters. Click OK, and it creates that feature. So that's quite easy. Okay, and now the last part for my sketch or for my model is to create that, yeah, that part in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sketch on this face. So on that face, I'm going to create a sketch drawing two rectangles. So that rectangles you'll see is 15 millimeters wide, and they go in 60 millimeters to that point there. So, and that will be the extrude length. But for this, 30 millimeters high, so they go up until that edge. The width we know is 15, so I can just specify the width and then there, and then also from that corner 15 and 30, and specify that. So sketch is fully constrained with one auto dimension, so I can just change that. We know that it needs to be 30. Sketch is fully constrained, what you want. So now I've created that rectangles. I'm going to extrude them 60 millimeters. So there. Okay, math error there. So it's 60 millimeters from that edge there. So from there, where I've draw the sketch now up until this point, is 60 minus the thickness of that, which is 20. So it's actually 40 from there to there. So just correct that, 40 millimeters. Okay, so I'm just gonna hide that sketch, and now the last thing. So I don't think I've used the unite tool now. So you'll see. Okay, no, I did use the unite. So then lastly we can add in that chamfers. So the distance from that line there up until that point is 10 millimeters. So I'm going to use the chamfer tool. My edge will be there and there. It is not symmetric, meaning that, yeah, it's not like a 45-degree angle. So you'll see we know that that height is 30 millimeters and that height is 10. So from that line to that line is 20 millimeters. So this distance will be 20 millimeters. But that distance is not 20 millimeters. It's up until that point. So that's again 40 millimeters if you remember correctly. So it's going to be asymmetric. The first distance is 20 and the second distance is 40. So it aligns with that line in there, and I click OK, and it creates that feature. So that's quite easy to do, and there you have it. So that's the part that we needed to create. I'm not sure if the previous videos have shown you how to assign a material. So just once again make sure it's one body, single body. Now you go to menu, tools, materials, and then assign material. So we will give you the material that you need to assign. Hopefully by this, yeah, by now you know how to do this, because the previous examples, or for week 4 you also need to create a model. No, sorry. So this is the first week you need to assign material. So this is how you do it. So say for instance we tell you that the material is bronze. So now you select your body, which is this body, and you want to assign bronze as the material. So you click on bronze and then you click OK. So just to make sure that your material is assigned, you can then once again go to menu, tools, materials, manage materials, and then it will provide you this list, and then to the right of bronze you'll see that check mark indicating that it's used. Okay, so then you can just analyze it. So you can let's just so to measure the weight, I just need to remember Okay, so to measure the weight, it's quite easy. So you just go to analysis. So um, there at the top is analysis, and then measure. Now once you click on measure, you can measure different stuff, but you want to measure the entire body. So to do that, you just right click on the body. So hover your mouse over the body, right click, and then you say select from list, and then under this list you select the solid body. So it doesn't matter the extrude, it just needs to be the solid body to measure the entire body, and then it populates this yeah, so it populates this table for you. So, and what we will want from you is the center of mass. So that's XYZ, center of mass. Important to get that order correct, because that's how you want to enter it into Fundi. So the X, Y, and Z coordinate, and then also your mass, which is this one in kilograms, not your weight. Your weight is your newton, so that's your mass times the gravitational constant. So you want your mass in kilograms. You can also display this. So if you click on those two, so let me just see. Okay, so it displays it now, and then you click OK, and then you can submit it like this to us, and we will appreciate that, because then we can just open your part and see, okay, the mass and center of mass is correct, and correct according to what you typed into Ifundi. We don't have to go and measure it ourselves. So to do that, I'm just going to show you again. Analysis, measure, right click on this body, select from list, solid body. It populates this table, and to show your mass and your center of mass on in the three-dimensional domain, just click on that eyeball there, so mass and center of mass, and then click OK, and that creates that thing that you can drag around, and it shows the mass and center of mass of this uh, model. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it helps you in creating your homework assignments for this week.